Hello, and welcome back to XRP Vault, where we bring you the most recent and intriguing XRP news. We're giving away 10,000 XRP to those who are watching. All you have to do is upvote, subscribe, comment XRP is king and watch the video to the end to be eligible. The winners will be picked next month and publicized on the community page of the channel. The situation has officially deteriorated. The sixth largest bank in the United States filed for bankruptcy very recently. And this bank was collaborating with some of the most forward-thinking IT firms in the entire world. I want to discuss the consequences of what's happening in this video since it won't be a one-time occurrence and will affect the entire financial industry. In addition, I wish to discuss the involvement of any cryptocurrency-related businesses. I want to talk about whether or not Ripple and Circle are at risk because we know this bank dealt with many crypto businesses, possibly including firms like those two. This is something you absolutely want to see in light of the most recent bankruptcy. Do a fast recap of the current situation once during this video because we just saw the sixth largest bank in the entire United States declare bankruptcy. And there is little doubt that this will have a significant impact on the entire financial sector in the future. This happened immediately after we actually witnessed Silvergate fall. And a lot of people were saying that FTX was the reason Silvergate failed. There were numerous crypto problems. But SVB, or Silicon Valley Banco, was suddenly in trouble. They primarily dealt with tech firms and had little experience with cryptocurrencies themselves. They do work with several businesses related to cryptocurrencies now. Yet, for the most part, they were dealing with significantly more Silicon Valley businesses, and more especially, crypto businesses. This is happening at the same time that banks like Credit Suisse and a few others, like Charles Schwab, are also experiencing some problems. Hence, there is no question that there is a significant event occurring at the back end of our financial system. And many of these banks are no longer able to accept it. Most people believe that the reason we are experiencing this is because the Federal Reserve quickly increased interest rates, raising them from 0% to roughly 5%. It was the fastest rate of increase ever, and it happened extremely quickly. And for a time, we didn't really see any consequences. Yet, for a while, we didn't really see any effects of the incredibly quick rate increases. Now that the rates have increased, we are beginning to feel their repercussions. And that is precisely what is currently dragging the banking industry to its knees. Now, I believe it's crucial that I show you this brief clip because it will help you grasp the primary problems with our banking system. We won't be able to cover everything in one video because it is so complicated. But I believe that after hearing this, you guys will have a much better understanding of why the banking system is such a weak network, and why we are currently seeing problems like this, even though interest rates only increased from 4% to 5%. Please pay attention as we swiftly and simply break everything down so that you may grasp it. I believe you have a limited understanding of the banking concept. All the banks are insolvent, including Santander, Deutsche Bank, and the Royal Bank of Scotland. Their insolvency is not due to an act of God. We have a system called fractional reserve banking, which allows banks to lend money that they don't actually have. Thus, the event wasn't some type of tsunami. It's been way too long, and it's a criminal disgrace. To make matters worse, you have a moral hazard, and it comes from politics, which is a very big moral hazard. And because central banks and politics are intertwined, the majority of issues have their origins there. We have counterfeiting, which is also sometimes referred to as quantitative easing. But counterfeiting by any other name, the artificial printing of money, would land a regular person in jail for a very long period of time. Yet governments and central banks frequently engage in it. We don't have the true cost of money since the central bank has suppressed the amount of interest rates are. And yet, we hold the genuine retail banks accountable for LIBOR manipulation. It's amazing how quickly this is moving forward. These are central banks. The interest rate manipulators are central banks, Mr. Commissioner. Also, do we not loosely and somewhat in a cavalier manner discuss deposit guarantees below all of this? So the taxpayer foots the bill when banks fail due to their own negligence and deceit? It is taxpayer money that is being stolen. And it will keep happening until we start locking up bankers, including central bankers and politicians, for this outrage. So, in essence, what's going on right now is that these banks were entering into quite dangerous agreements because they were so accustomed to having easy money and low interest rates. Moreover, assuming that it wouldn't cause any problems, with 0% interest rates, they were able to get away with it for a long time. Yet, as soon as interest rates were raised to 5%, well, all of a sudden, things started to fall apart. Now, what we're actually observing in this case is as straightforward as the fact that SVB was using a significant amount of its clients' money to carry out various activities and purchase various assets. Now, this happened with FTX almost exactly. It sort of just demonstrates that what happened with FTX wasn't really a crypto issue because it happened only in our regulated financial system. Everyone makes foolish decisions. And what they were doing was legitimate. They completed the requirements to become a regulated bank. Nevertheless, if everyone wants their money at once, you can't give it to them because they didn't have the money to accomplish that, and were using it for their own needs. In other words, everyone panicked and hurried to the door to get their money out of the bank because they thought it would have problems. They abruptly ran out of money to distribute. That's all there is to it. Yet, the true cause is that central banks have complete discretion over when and how to change interest rates. Several of these institutions have also become so accustomed to low interest rates that they are unprepared to handle a tighter financial system. You're probably asking yourself, alright, well, this bank I've never heard of is very huge, so what's the big deal? At this point, why is the entire economy affected by this? So, I read that this bank is going to directly affect close to 150,000 firms in this country. Several Silicon Valley startups had a lot of money in this bank, and many of them relied on it for payroll. That is very bizarre. And none of these startups had anything to do with this bank failing. They simply had faith that it would fulfill its commitments, keep their money, and allow them to withdraw it whenever they desired. Yet, that is untrue. And now it's going to affect the entire startup business in a negative way. What I was wondering, as well as what many of you guys are presumably asking, is whether Ripple will suffer significant losses as a result of employing SVB. I don't yet have a definitive response, but I believe we can dissect this and at the very least gain some assurance. It's crucial to highlight that, in my opinion, Ripple wouldn't be in serious trouble even if they had all of their capital with SVB. And the reason for this is that they have so much XRP that no dishonest bank or fractional reserve bank can steal it. And that's the whole point of cryptocurrency. You own your keys and your money and don't need to rely on anyone else. Hence, even if Ripple were to lose all of their money, which is probably not what happened, I doubt that would have happened. They might not even survive it, in my opinion, because they genuinely have value of their own. It is the cryptocurrency's promise. And I believe that it is important to emphasize this. It clearly demonstrates the strength of the new financial system. Many people frequently claim that they wouldn't need to adopt cryptocurrencies because their current financial system serves them well. Well, until something goes wrong, it works just perfectly for you. Exactly for this reason, cryptocurrencies were developed. It's because these deserving businesses recently obtained these lines of credit from the bank, which they were assured was reliable. Then everything vanishes with the snap of a finger, having nothing to do with them. So to begin, I genuinely don't believe that Ripple would be significantly impacted even if they had all of their money with this bank. It's crucial to add that I doubt Ripple even had the majority of their money with this bank. And the reason for that is how globally renowned Ripple is. They probably need banks all around the planet at this point. Because most of Ripple's business is conducted outside of the United States, even if they had an account with this bank, I doubt it could have been anything important. Hence, I sincerely doubt that this will have a significant impact on Ripple. With respect to Circle, it's vital to note that Ashish Birla, who is on the board of Ripple, also tweets occasionally. Circle did, in fact, have an SVB account, and it appears that they might have suffered a big financial loss. The Circle peg still hasn't grasped it. Hence, it doesn't appear like there is any confidence erosion taking place. Circle will be fine, I have a feeling. Indeed, the majority of their funds were held by Buy and Melon. But I bring this up because I'm not sure if Ashish Birla would actually send out tweets like this. SVB also had an impact on Ripple. Only something to think about. Ultimately, it appears that Ripple avoided serious harm in this situation, but many other businesses appear to be less fortunate. Now, the major reason I find this to be so fascinating is that Ripple actually addresses this issue. This is the issue with the way things are now, financially. Right up until it stops working. All these businesses relied on a bank that never actually had their money because it is fragile, it breaks, and it is frail. Ernie, it happened exactly the same way in 2008. And the issue was never resolved. The fact that these identical events continue to occur is due to the fact that our financial system hasn't been updated. We continue to employ the same antiquated legacy technology. And it simply isn't enough anymore. Money goes too slowly, and nothing is open. Nobody is aware of what is happening in the background. And for that reason, you run such dangers. And you witness the collapse of the entire system. When a single bank fails. All it takes for things to fall apart when you have these centralized systems is for the CEO of one bank to make a mistake. No one has any value of their own. Money moves slowly, and it is becoming blocked up. Nobody can see what is happening either. Because the solution is opaque, no one would have known what the bank is doing with the money on their end. This bank could have done anything they wanted with the money. This is the key justification for blockchain technology. This is precisely the reason that this financial system needs an urgent update. And I have a hunch that many of these startups will suffer as a result of this, which makes me sad as well as horrible for what I feel for them. I firmly believe that this will serve as a catalyst for change. That, in my opinion, will demonstrate the need for these modifications to our financial system. Because in the times we live in, things like this shouldn't be happening. After 2008, we ought to have resolved these issues. In all honesty, this was the main motivation behind the creation of Bitcoin. It was done to address issues like this. But here we are, 15 years later, still struggling with the same issues. The good news is that Ripples will survive. They'll manage to get out of this. The bad news is that many businesses that are less fortunate will be entangled in this. I sincerely hope they come up with a solution over the upcoming weekend. I'm hoping that a bank can buy them out or that the government can step in and save a lot of the startups. Please understand that I do not support the bailout of this bank. I'm in favor of bailing out the startups. They weren't due to a financial loss. They were unaware of what was taking place in the background. And it's really sad to see how all of these startups are simply destroyed by a situation like this. That should not be taking place in our financial system at all. We ought to have addressed this long ago. But I do hope that this helps everyone comprehend the issues that cryptocurrencies are addressing. That is not a fictional issue. People want to portray our current financial system as functioning flawlessly. There are no issues with it. That is categorically false, as demonstrated here. Sure, it functions well when money is easy to come by, times are easy, and there is no systemic stress. Nevertheless, as soon as there is even a small hiccup, everything starts to fall apart, which is why we require cryptocurrency solutions. Nevertheless, I really appreciate your being here. I hope this update was enjoyable. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. They mean a lot right now.